In Indonesia, the volume of flight passengers at the Soekarno Hatta International Airport in Tangerang, Banten, has increased significantly during the Chinese New Year holidays, especially since the Indonesian government has now lifted all COVID-19 travel and activity restrictions. The Soekarno Hatta International Airport management noted that during the day of the Chinese New Year on Sunday, over 102,000 passengers had passed through the Soekarno Hatta International Airport. The day before that, the airport saw 120,000 flight passengers, while the peak occurred last Friday when the Soekarno Hatta Airport saw over 135,000 flight passengers. The surge in flight passengers coincides with the lifting of COVID-19 travel and activity restrictions, which were revoked just before the turn of the new year. And not just flight, but train travel in Indonesia also surged during the Chinese New Year holidays. State-owned train company Kereta Api Indonesia in Surabaya, East Java, saw over 56,000 passengers throughout the Lunar New Year holiday period so far. On Friday, Kereta Api Indonesia company in Surabaya had over 17,900 train passengers, while on Saturday there were 16,800 passengers and more. On average, daily passenger numbers were 500 to 1,000 more compared to Chinese New Year holidays in 2022. The increase in train passengers is expected to continue up until Monday night. Meanwhile, during the Chinese Lunar New Year, the city of Bandung in Indonesia and its surrounding areas saw a spike in visitors by up to 4 times compared to normal days. The increase in tourist visits is not only happening in the city of Bandung, but also in its surrounding areas like Lembang, which is known as a culinary hotspot. Most of the tourism is for culinary hotspots in the area, such as Lembang, that saw a spike 4 times higher in tourist visits compared to usual days. As many as 1,300 visitors were coming for culinary tourism this Chinese Lunar New Year compared to usual days, which typically sees around 350 visitors. The spike in travel was mostly due to the fact that Indonesia has recently lifted its COVID-19 restrictions, making this New Year, or this Chinese New Year, the first time that people could gather freely as a family since the start of the pandemic. Meanwhile, over in China, people are celebrating the Lunar New Year with more people now, as the Chinese government has lifted the very restrictive zero-COVID policy, which saw China having the biggest New Year celebration this year since the start of the pandemic. With the easing of restrictions, many Chinese citizens can now finally travel to see their families for this new year. And in Beijing, huge temple exhibits that are now synonymous with the Lunar New Year celebrations are still ongoing. Other tourist spots were also full of visitors, like the sites with Tiananmen history. For a lot of families with young children, this is the first time that they're able to take out their kids out to crowded events since the start of the pandemic.